familiar with if you're in on Friday. But we're going to start as we normally do. No bar work this week. We'll do a bit of legs to begin with though, just to warm up through the legs. So we're just going to start with our neutral pelvis. Find that core engagement. So feet hip width apart, making the number 11. Knees nice and soft, just rocking that weight forwards. Let's find that core engagement as we rock over the toes and then bring it back to center. So just transferring that weight across, making sure the feet, weight's nice and evenly distributed throughout the feet, throughout the foot. So we're not leaning into arches or leaning into one side over the other. So find that core engagement. Try not to grip with the toes. We're going to come back to center, maintaining that core engagement. So that slight tightening of the core. Hands on the hips and finding neutral with the pelvis. So really soften through the knees there and just really squeeze that tailbone between the legs. See if we can get a nice stretch through that lumbar spine and then just really stick that bottom out behind. So it's just a rock of the pelvis, backwards and forwards. Backwards and forwards. We're going to find that midpoint now, so we're just going to slightly tuck the tailbone under, hip bones nice and level, drawing it through that pelvic floor so like we've got a nice tight corset on, and then sliding the hands down towards the sides of the knees and lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. We're going to do a nice neck stretch now, so making sure we really anchor those shoulders down. We're just going to bring the ear down towards the shoulder, lifting the top of the ear up towards the ceiling. So feeling that nice stretch into the side of the neck. A couple of nice deep breaths into that stretch. And then we're going to bring the chin towards the chest. So feeling a nice stretch into the back of the neck as the head comes forward. And then again, bringing the ear down towards the shoulder. Just make sure those shoulders don't creep up. Really anchor those shoulders down. Someone else, Helen. She is. Drawing the top of the ear up towards the ceiling. So just feeling a really nice lengthening down that side of the neck. We're going to bring the chin back towards the chest, just roll the head forwards and then lengthen again, crown of the head towards the ceiling. Just going to work a little bit of rotation now. So bringing the hands to either side of the forehead, keeping that spine nice and long, keeping the hip bones facing the front. We're just going to exhale through to the side. And then inhale it back to center. So just rotating through the spine. Exhale, twist. Inhale back. Let's go for one more to each side. And last one. Rotate and back to center. Lovely. Bringing the arms down to the side. We're going to take it into a side bend and then into a roll down. I'll talk you through it though. So we're going to slide the right hand down towards the right knee. So feeling a nice lengthening, feeling down this left side of the waist. At the moment, shoulders are square to the front. We're then going to bring that top shoulder forwards and we're going to roll down over that right leg. So slightly off center, feeling that nice stretch down the left-hand side of the body. So you should feel that nice deep stretch into the back of the left leg. And then we're just going to walk the hands back to center and roll up through the middle. So exhale breath as we draw it through the core, rolling back up as we normally would do. Nice and slowly re-stacking the spine. And when we reach the top, nice big shoulder roll before we go down to the other side. So we're going to take the left hand down towards the left knee. Feel that stretch down the right hand side of the waist. And then that right shoulder is going to come forwards as we roll down over that left leg. Feeling that stretch nice and deep through the left side of the waist. And then just bring the hands back to center again. Take an inhale breath. As we exhale, tummy button draws away from the thighs. We're pushing up into the spine. Use the core, restack the spine. Coming up nice and slowly. And then a nice big shoulder roll when we reach the top. We're going to then shuffle the feet out to quite a lot wider than hip width. Toes out on the diagonal, so toes at 10 to 2. We're going to do it, we're going to hip hinge with a bend through that right knee. So we're going to push those hips back, Keep that left foot nice and flat to the floor. So we're feeling a really nice stretch into the inside of that left leg. Just hold it down there for 3, 2, 1, and we're coming back up to center. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So from side profile, the hips hinge, we bend through the left knee, coming down, so hinging those hips backwards, feeling that really nice stretch down the inside of the right leg this time. You can bring the hands to the floor if you like. We're holding for 3, 2, 1, and then bring the hips back to center, roll the spine back up. We're then going to stay with legs nice and deep and take it down into a squat. So this time, spine stays upright. We're bending through both knees, coming down into a nice deep squat, keeping those knees traveling out over the toes, so we're not collapsing the knees in, they keep out. So pushing back with the knees and then driving up through the heels as we come back out of that squat. So let's go down again. This time we're going to bring the hands to the temples, and we're going to stay down in squat now. We're going to take it into a bend over. So we're going to bring the right elbow down towards that right knee and then bring it back to center. We're going to go down to the other side. So left elbow over to left knee. Feel that stretch into the right side of the waist. Bring it back to center, driving up through the heels. Nice and slowly. Let's go down and do one more to each side. So sliding the spine down that brick wall. Bring that tailbone, if we can, level with the knees. Inhale, breath, exhale, right elbow to right knee. And then restack and over to the other side. Whew. Bring it back to center, nice inhale, breath, exhale through the heels as we come up and out of that. Well done. Bringing the toes forward. Arms out, level with the shoulders. Let's take it into our tabletop. So it's a hinge from the hips as we bring the spine into that tabletop position, pushing the weight back over the heels. Keep that neck nice and long, so gaze down towards the floor. Take an inhale breath here as we exhale. We're going to bring the right hand up towards the ceiling as the left hand comes down towards the floor into a bit of spine rotation. And then bring it back to center. Same over to the other side. So reach that left hand up, right fingertips down towards the floor. Stretch out through the chest there, and then bring it back to center. We're going to take it down into flop now. So we're just going to relax through that upper body, relax through the head, neck, arms, cradling the head. So just grabbing hold of opposite elbows. I'm just going to do a couple of pendulum swings just to unlock the spine, just swinging from side to side, just like gravity, take that upper body, make you feel nice and heavy, and then just start to slow that down as we come back to center. Take an inhale breath. We're going to rebuild, rolling back up, so scooping that tailbone back underneath the legs, drawing that tummy button back up towards the spine as we roll back up and roll back out. And when we reach the top again, don't forget to just reset those shoulders, shuffling the feet back in, coming towards the end of our mat. We'll make our way down to the floor. So normal roll down this time, feet hip width apart, hands down by the side of the body, collarbones nice and wide. Inhale breath as we exhale, chin dips towards the chest as those shoulders start to round forwards. We're coming down nice and slowly until we're as far as we can go, let the hamstrings will allow us to go rather. Take an inhale breath. Let's see if we can exhale a little bit deeper into that stretch. So whether it's feeling tight into the calves, the hamstrings, the lower back. Just nicely inhale, on the exhale, just travel a little bit deeper into that stretch. Now we want to bring the hands all the way down to the floor. So that might involve popping a bend into the knee, hands flat to the floor. We're going to walk out halfway down the mat. So walking the hands halfway down. Wrists underneath shoulders. We're going to push the head through the arms as we bring the heels down towards the floor into our downward dog. Feel that lovely stretch all the way down the back of the body. And then we're going to lift up onto the tiptoes, transfer that weight over the hands, over the wrists rather, and then exhale, press the heels back into the floor. Get that stretch into the calf. Let's just do a couple more of those. So it's just a lift up onto the tiptoes, transfer that weight forwards. Core still switched on. And last one. Up onto the tiptoes, weight over the wrists. And then pushing back into the heels. We're going to walk all the way down into our full plank now. So bring the head away from in between the arms. Walk the hands forwards until the wrists are underneath the shoulders. We're going to push the floor away, so really engage through those shoulder blades. If this is too much, come down into our 3/4 plank, so down to the knees. We're just going to hold it for 4. So really engage, if we're doing full plank, engage through the quads, engage through the glutes. 3, 2, and 1, down to the knees. We're going to have a little sit back, little rest pose into our child's pose. So really lengthen through the arms there, sit that tailbone as far back into the heels as we can. And take a couple of nice deep breaths. So then we're going to come up onto all fours now. So into our box position. Let me just move my camera so I'm not right at the bottom of the screen. So wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, engaging through that core. So it's like drawing the tummy button up towards the spine, pushing the floor away so the shoulders are nice and active. Excuse me. We're going to slide the right foot as far away from the body as we can, keeping those hips nice and level. So that if we had a spirit level across that lower back, it will be showing nice and level. We're going to lift the leg level with the body, squeezing into that right glute, and then we're going to bring the leg over the left leg, turning the head and having a little glimpse over as the foot lands down to the floor. And then in a nice narrow semicircle, we're going to come all the way over as far out to the side as we can, again turning the head as that toe taps down onto the floor. So the gaze is watching the toe as we shift up and over, tap, up and over, as wide as we can go out to the side. You should really feel those obliques fire up as that leg comes out to the side of the body. Everyone following, up and over, hips stay nice and level. Up and over, tap. Let's go for 2 more taps out to the side. 1. And last one, we're going to leave the foot out to the side of the body if we're facing front so you can see. Plant the foot flat to the floor. We're now going to take it into a child's pose again. So we're going to sit back into the heel, feeling that nice stretch into the hip, keeping that foot as flat to the floor as we can. And then as we come up and out of that stretch, we're going to come up, so hips come back over the hip, and then we're going to open up, rolling that top arm up and over, and then reaching forwards as we sit the tailbone back into that heel. So I'll keep talking you through it. So as the hips come up, we're going to bring that arm round. So open up the chest, open up the hip, nice massive circle of the arm. And then as that arm travels forwards, we sit back into the heel. Keeping that foot flat to the floor. Everyone follow me? We're not best explanation in the world. So just open up, massive circle of the arm and sit back. Let's go for 1 more of those. Should feel really nice and stretched. So we open up the chest, rotate through that shoulder, and sit back into the heel as the hand travels back down towards the floor. Well done. We're going to come back up onto all fours again. So bring that knee underneath the hip. We're going to travel the left leg away from the body. So foot's flat to the floor. And then we're going to lift the leg level with the body, push the floor away with the hands. And then we're going to come over that right leg. As that toe taps down, we're going to watch that toe tap down, just turning the head over the shoulder, tap. So the body's moving, bending as that leg comes out to the side. So you should feel this in the obliques, stabilizing the torso. Let's go for 3 more taps out to the side. 1. And 2. Up and over. Last one. Toe taps down. And then we're going to bring that foot out to the side. Plant that foot flat to the floor. Sit back into that right heel. Feel that lovely stretch into the hip. As we come up, we're going to bring that left hand up towards the ceiling. Open up through the chest. Nice big circle of the arm. And then bring that hand back down towards the floor as we sit back into that right heel. So it's up, open. Massive circle of the arm and back down again. Let's go for 2 more. And last one. Up we come. And pop the hand back down to sit back into that heel. And then bring that other knee back underneath the hip. Well done. We're going to come all the way down to our front, doing a bit of spine work now. So again, we're still going to work with that lateral movement. So bringing the hands to underneath the forehead, like a pillow. Just pop the forehead down onto the hands. Bring the feet out to the corners of the mat. Just going to work a little bit of rotation into the legs. So just allow the heels to fall in towards each other, so the kneecaps are facing out towards the side of the room, and then bring the heels up and over until they're facing the side. So we're internally and externally rotating that leg. Think about that ball and socket joint of the hip and how that femur would move around in that ball and socket joint. So just a couple of these. And then we're going to bring the heels towards one another. So you should feel a little bit of glute activation as we do this, almost shrink wrapping those glutes, so quite engaging through the glutes there. Lengthening through the legs and pushing that tailbone, pubic bone down into the floor. We're going to take an inhale breath. As we exhale, we're going to lift and lengthen through that right leg, squeezing from that right glute. And lowering back down, keeping that leg as straight as possible. Go with the left side, still trying to maintain that slight external rotation of the leg. So push that pubic bone down, engage through the core. So we shouldn't feel that in the lower back, should be feeling that in the glutes. Squeeze and lift, squeeze and lift. So think more length than lift. It doesn't have to be a high lift at all. Just really try to lengthen through the leg. Level 2, we're going to lift and lengthen with both legs. So pushing that pubic bone down into the floor to squeeze both glutes and then lower back down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. So there's your level 2 exercise. Level 3, we're going to squeeze the glutes. We're going to stay lifted. And then we're going to try and squeeze the heels together and then widen out through the legs and squeeze the heels together. Inhale, widen, exhale, squeeze. We're going to go for 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Heels come back towards one another. Mine don't touch, some people's do. And then we're going to lower the legs down towards the floor. Well done. Now bring the heels up and over so they're pointing to the outside of the room. That should instantly relax the glutes for you a little bit there. Hands underneath the forehead. We're going to come up with the upper spine now. So take an inhale breath as we exhale again, engaging through the core, pushing that pubic bone down. We're going to come up into a little hover. You should feel that across the back of the shoulder blades. And then inhale as we lower back down. There's an exhale breath as we lift up, away from the floor. And inhale as we lower back down. That's your level 1 exercise. Level 2, we're going to come up. We're going to stay up. We're going to bring the right hand down to the outside of the right thigh. And then slide the right hand down towards the knee. So we're bending through the body, working laterally. Come back to center. Bring the hand back underneath the forehead. Go with the other side. So left hand comes down towards the outside of that left thigh. Travel the hand down towards the knee. Take the gaze towards the edge of the mat. And then bring it back to center. Hand comes back. So we just keep going from side to side, squeezing down the side of the waist there, shortening that distance between the bottom rib and the hip. So almost trying to create rolls into the side of the waist. Let's go for 1 more to each side. But like I say, if that's too much, just go back to that lifting and lowering. And last ones. Squeeze back to center, hands back underneath the forehead, and slowly bring it all back down towards the mat. Well done. Hands underneath the shoulders now. We're going to push up onto all fours and just do a nice stretch with that one. So we're going to take it into a nice cat stretch first. So exhale breath. We're going to really scoop up into that back, scoop the tummy button up, tuck that tailbone under, chin comes down towards the chest. And then have a sit back into the heels, taking it into our child's pose. I'm going to put in some nice stretches tonight for you. So sitting back into our child's pose. We're not in our flexion anymore. So we're just going to walk the hands over to one side. You feel a really nice stretch into the side of the waist there. Put one hand on top of the other. And then if you like, in this position, we can scoop that tailbone under and come up into our cat stretch with this lateral bend and then sit it back down into the heels. So we should be feeling a really nice stretch down the side of the waist and back down. Let's go for 2 more lifts. If you're not fancying the lift, just stay down in that nice stretched out child's pose. And last one. Lift and lower. Lovely. Bring the hands all the way back through the centre. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side now. So popping one hand on top of the other. Feel that lovely stretch first. And then if you like, scoop that tailbone between the legs as we come up into that mini cat stretch. And then sit it back into the heels. Let's go for 3 more lifts. 3. And lower. 2. And lower. And last one. Exhale as we lift. Scoop that tummy up. Inhale, lower it back down. Well done. Coming back to centre with the hands. We're then going to come down onto our mats. Seated, so start at the top, at the front of your mat rather. So feet are hip width apart, knees are hip width apart. We're nice and tall on those sit bones. I can't get my words out today. Arms out level with the shoulders and shoulders down and back. We're going to roll it all the way down to the floor. So that pelvic tilt, really think about articulating through the spine. So we're rolling onto the back of the sit bones. At this point, we want to be thinking about getting the waistband of the trousers nice and close to the floor. Really hollow out those lower abdominals. We're going to hold. We're going to bring one arm out to the side. So you should feel that right oblique if it's the right hand that's come out. And then bring it back to center. Go with the left side, out to the side, and bring it back to center. One more to each side, and then we're going all the way down to the mat. So reaching out. Left arm reaches out. That's good, everyone. Bring it back to center. Now really slowly placing one vertebrae at a time down onto the floor. Bring those arms behind the head. Bring the legs nice and long. Imagine somebody's pulling you in opposite directions. Lift the spine away from the floor. Get that really nice stretch down the abdominals there. And take some nice deep breaths. Really breathing into the bottom of the ribs, bottom of the lungs rather. And then we're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling. Bring the feet up onto the floor. Find that neutral with the pelvis now. So the hip bones and the pubic bone want to be on one level. We're going to bring the legs one at a time up into our tabletop position. So we're going to work a dead bug exercise now. So as the right arm comes behind the head, we're going to lengthen that left leg away from the body. And then exhale it all back to center. So working from rib to opposite hip. So think about that muscle that joins that left rib over towards that right hip. That's the muscle we're working on that side. So really lengthen and then bring it back to center. So there's our level 1 exercise. Working across the waist. Level 2 exercise, we're going to bring both arms behind the head, legs stay in tabletop. As we inhale, arms behind the head, we're going to exhale, lifting up with the head and shoulders and reaching to one side of the knees, up and over, and then bring it back to center. So you can come all the way down in the center if you like. Exhale as we come across. Again, think about that rib to opposite hip distance. That's the distance we're wanting to shorten. Bring it back to center. So you don't have to bring the head all the way down in the center. If you want to make it a little bit harder, stay lifted. I'm struggling to talk and exercise tonight. Exhale. So always try to reach the hands level with the feet. If you want to make this even harder, again, we can lengthen out through the legs as the arms come behind the head. So adding in that double leg stretch as well in the middle. Exhale as we reach those hands down towards the side of the feet. Inhale, lengthen. So just remember to take it at your level. If anything doesn't feel right, stop. Let's go for 2 more to each side. So we're nearly there. One. Last ones. And last one. And then bring those head and shoulders down if they're not already. Grab hold of the knees. Try to relax those abdominals. Have a little roll around on that lower back. So the next exercise we're going to work is lower abs. We're going to bring the feet down to the floor, concentrating on that pelvic stability. So keeping the pelvis in that neutral position, hip bones and pubic bone on the same level. So imagine we've got a cup of tea within that triangle. We don't want to be spilling the tea. So we're going to drop the right knee out to the side without rolling down on that right hip, so the hips stay level. And then as we exhale, almost try to think about drawing those hip bones together as the knees come back up towards the ceiling. Then we're going to go down with the left knee. So let the left knee drop out to the side. Exhale as we draw those hip bones together. So that's your level 1 there. Out and in without any movement from the pelvis, no movement from the spine. Exhale it back to center. Level 2, so we're coming up into tabletop legs. Same thing, just dipping that right knee down to the side, no movement from those hips, and then squeezing back up. And then we can take it into a level 3 exercise as well, so bringing the hands behind the head, lifting the shoulder blades away from the floor, working the same, just with that head lifted. So try not to pull up on the head, just allow the hands to take the weight of the head so we're not hurting the neck. So we're just lowering and lifting. Perfect. Let's go for 2 more to each side. And lift, and last ones, and last one. Exhale, lift, back to that start position. Bring the feet down to the floor if they're not already. Bring those head and shoulders down onto the mat. Well done. We're now going to bring the hands down, arms down to the side of the bodies. The collarbones are out nice and wide. We're going to walk the feet a little bit close to the bottom and have the feet side by side, so touching. We're going to squeeze the knees together. So arms down by the side, we're going to take it into our shoulder bridge now, squeezing those knees together all at the same time. So we're going to imprint the spine, lift that pubic bone up away from the floor, lifting the spine up away from the floor, squeezing those hips up towards the ceiling, squeezing those knees together at the same time. Take an inhale breath. As we exhale, we're slowly placing the spine back down, 1 vertebrae at a time. Imagine we've got a £20 note in between the knees that somebody's trying to take away from us. Inhale breath. As we exhale, we're coming up, scoop, imprint, and peel that spine away from the floor. Squeeze those hips up towards the ceiling, and then slowly just place the spine back down. All the time, keeping those knees squeezed together, so really working those inner thighs on this one. We're going to stay up in bridge on this next one, so peeling up, squeeze those hips up towards the ceiling, and then we're going to allow the knees to fall out to the side, but make sure the feet stay flat to the floor. And then we're going to exhale as we squeeze the knees back together. So it's the last couple of millimeters that you'll really feel. Inhale, release, out to the side. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. Gosh, where's the time going? Exhale, squeeze, last 2. Keep those hips nice and high. Don't let those hips fall. And last one. Inhale, out. Exhale, squeeze those knees. Take an inhale breath, keeping the knees together as we slowly pop the spine back down along the floor. 1 vertebrae at a time. Lovely, well done. Just bring the knees up towards the shoulders, so widening out through the legs there. Nice gentle pull, and have a little rock from side to side there. Next exercise, coming down into side lying. So working again, obliques and glutes. So we did this one last Monday. So make sure we're sat towards the front of the mat This is only an option though, so you don't have to go with this. So we're going to roll back slightly. I'll talk you through it anyway. So hips, one on top of the other, head relaxed onto the arm, palm of the hand down towards the floor. So this hand in front, just for a little bit of support, so fingers nice and light. We're going to take an inhale breath as we exhale, squeezing the heels together, lengthening through the legs. We're going to come up into that double leg lift, squeeze, and then coming back down with control. So it's an exhale breath as we squeeze up. Inhale breath as we come down. So there's your level one. Level twos, as we come up with the legs, we're then going to roll back onto that bottom and then come up into that teaser. So I've got my mat with me. And then we're going to control it back down, back into that nice straight line again. So use that hand for a bit of support, keeping the legs lifted. So it's a bend through the knees, scooping up, coming up into teaser onto the bottom, and then lowering back down with control. One to play around with. So there you go. And if you wanted to make it even harder, come up into straight leg teaser, and then lower it back down. So we're going to work 3 more of those. So your level ones, we're just coming up with a lift and a lower. Level twos, we're bending through the knees, rolling back onto the bottom, squeeze those knees towards the chest and slide it back down onto the floor. Level threes, come up with straight legs into that straight leg teaser, lift, 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 and lower it back down. Last one. You can use this hand as well for a little bit of balance. The last one, coming up, 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 nice and tall, and lower it back down onto the side. And then lower those legs down. Really feel that in the top side of the waist there. So now we're going to take it into some glute work. So we're going to bring this underneath leg into tabletop. You might want to shuffle back on your mat now. Keep the head onto the arm. Leg lengthened, level with that top hip. So without this torso moving, we're going to lift the leg up without dropping that waist down. So nothing moves in this top half. It's just simply a leg lift. So that means you might not come up that high with the leg. We really want to isolate this top glute. So squeeze up and lower back down, making sure we don't sink into the floor with the waist. Exhale, raise. Bring that leg back to hip level now. We're going to sweep that leg forwards. Keep the leg parallel with the floor. And then bring it back behind, not behind, level with the hip, sorry, and lift. So parallel with the floor, sweep it forwards, bring it back level with that hip, and raise. Now we're going to add a raise in at the front as well. So we're going to kick that leg forwards, and then lift. Again, nothing moves above the waist, and lift here as well. So make sure we're not altering that shape of the spine. Core staying nice and active so we're not sinking into the floor. Let's go for one more out to the front. We're going to lift and lower, bringing that leg back to hip level. Relax that ankle so the foot becomes nice and floppy. We're going to do 10 pulses now. So we're going to tap and lift, tap and lift. That's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, nearly there, and 1. Well done. Bending through that knee, bring the knees together, give the bottom a really good rub there. Well done. Now for a nice little stretch. You've earned that one. Bring the shoulders square so they're stacked one on top of the other. One hand on top of the other, arms lengthened out in front, level with the shoulders. Take an inhale breath to prepare. As we exhale, we're going to bring that arm up. Sweep the ceiling with the fingertips. Keep the gaze to this moving hand, so let the head follow that top hand, and just aim to get those shoulder blades as close to the floor as we can. Getting a really nice stretch, rotationally across the spine, across the chest. Nice deep breaths. Nice deep breaths. And then use the next inhale as preparation, and we're going to exhale as we lift. So use the core to pull that arm back up, back over, really lengthen as the arm comes over. Bring those hands back together again. Take an inhale breath here, and we're going to exhale, slide that top hand as far away from the body as we can, and just relax into that one. And then bring the hands back together. We're going to come up into seated now to work our modified saw. So again, still working laterally. So we're going to bring the right foot up the inside of the left thigh. We're going to bring the arms out to the side level with the shoulders. Inhale breath here. As we exhale, we're going to rotate. So bringing that left hand, soaring off that little toe with the left hand, 3 little pulses, and then we're going to bring that hand, right hand, behind us, fingers pointing away, and lift that left hand up towards the ceiling. There's your level 1, bottom stays down. Level 2, we're going to come up and really stretch out down the side of that left hand side of the body, and then bring the bottom back down with control. We're going to come through the center back into our saw. So 1, 2, 3. Both sit bones stay anchored down into the floor. Back through the middle. Hand, right hand comes down. Left hand lifts up. Bottom stays down for level 1. Level 2, we lift up into the hips, stretching out through that left hand side of the body. And then lower it back down with control. Let's go for 2 more on this side. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Back through the center. Hand comes down, fingers point away, and lift up into the hips if we're coming into our level 2. And then back down. Last one. And we'll do all the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3. Restack. It comes down and lift. And lengthen as we lift. And then bring the bottom back down towards the floor. That looks really nice, by the way. Switching the legs over. So left foot to the inside of the right thigh. Arms out level with the shoulders. Spine's nice and tall, so crown of the head towards the ceiling. Exhale, twist. 3 little pulses. Back through the center. This time left hand comes down. Right arm shoots up. Level 1, bottom stays down. Level 2, we lift into those hips. Really squeeze the bottom. And then bring it back down. So it's a nice little hip stretch at the top if we're coming up. Bottom off the floor. 2, 3. God, I talk a lot, don't I? And lift. Let's go for 3 more. Through the center. Both sit bones stay down. Hand comes down. Shoot that right arm up. Push into those hips. Last 2. So we're working those obliques and stretching those obliques out tonight. Lift. And last one. Before we do the other side of our side lying series. through the centre, hand comes down, shooting up, squeeze the glutes at the top, and then lowering it back down to the floor. Well done. Feet in the opposite direction. This way, I think, don't I? We're going to come into our side lying position. Again, remember to just come towards the front of your mat so we've got room to roll back. So bringing the head down onto the arm, palm facing down towards the floor. This hand in front for a bit of support. Inhale breath as we exhale, squeezing the heels together, lift and lengthen through the legs. There's our level one. And inhale as we lower it back down. Exhale, lift and lengthen. And lower back down. Level two. As we come up, the legs stay up throughout. We're going to bend through the knees and then come onto the bottom into our teasers, squeezing the knees towards the chest and then sliding back down with control. Use this hand if we need to come back into our side lying position. So legs stay lifted at all times on this one. So we're coming through, rolling it into the bottom, squeeze those knees up towards the chest. Perfect. That looks really good. And then coming back down, lovely Abby. Back to the front. And then level threes. Keep those legs lengthened. Oh, that hurts. And then lower, back down with control. Let's go for three more. It's a roll. Drag that hand behind you, lift up, so really use the core. And lower it back down. Don't forget level twos, pop that bend into the knee. So squeeze those knees up towards the chest and back down. Last one. So if we were working level two, see if we can get those legs straight. Lift, exhale up into our teaser and lower it back down with control. Oh gosh. Well done. Come back towards the centre of the mat now. We're going to bring that bottom leg out into tabletop. We're going to lengthen this top leg away. Again, ideally we want to have the head on the arm so everything's in one nice long line. So that waist's lifted away from the floor. We're going up for our single leg raise without any movement above the hip. So you'll know you've come too far with the leg if we start pushing that waist down into the floor. That's it, that's perfect. Let's go for three more of these. Again, really engage through this top leg as well. Think about engaging through the quad, locking out that leg. Last two. And last one. Lift and lower. So the leg comes back to hip level. We're going to sweep that leg forwards and lift. And then back. Again, keeping that core nice and strong. Not just a glute exercise. So we're going for a lift at the front, lift at the back. Lovely. Let's go for two more. Don't know where the time's gone tonight. I'm really quick. And last one to the back. Lift and lower. Leg comes out to the front. We're going to lift and lower. Then really flop with the ankle. So nice and dangly with the foot. We're going for, did I say 8 last time? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And lift and bend through that knee. Bring the knees together. Rub the bottom. Well done. Don't know why you guys turn up for a week. That hurts. Shoulders stacked, one on top of the other, arms lengthened at shoulder height. Relax the head and neck down. You've got a cushion, you can pop that underneath your head. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. Lengthen and lift through the arm. Sweep the feet and fingers with the, sweep the ceiling with the fingertips, is what I was trying to say. Bring those shoulder blades down towards the floor. Get that rotation into the spine. Legs stay where they are. Nice deep breaths here. And exhale. Next inhale breath, we're going to prepare. And on that exhale, lengthen and lift through the arm as the arm travels back over. Bring the hands together. Take an inhale breath with the arms together. And exhale, slide that hand as far away as we can. Relax into that one. And then bring those hands back together again. Well done. We're going to roll it back onto our backs again. Last core exercise, scissors. We're going to work scissors now. So we're going to do normal scissors first, then sideways scissors. So pelvis in neutral. We're going to exhale, first leg to tabletop, second leg to tabletop position. Keeping that pelvis in neutral, we're going to toe tap. So one toe taps and back up, and then down with the other side. So that's our level one. If you want to make it a little bit harder, have a little play around with where the legs cross. Level two, lengthening through the legs. We're going to scissor straight legs. Level three, head and shoulders lift up. We add in that gentle pull, grabbing hold of the leg either above or below the knee. Keep breathing. Get that nice stretch into the hip, into the back of the leg. Nice and slow, nice and controlled, so don't throw the legs around. Looks lovely. You can see lots of legs, long legs. Let's go for three more. One to each side, I meant. Two. And last ones. And three. Well done. Bring the knees in for a little hug before we go up sideways. The scissors next. So both legs up towards the ceiling. Don't worry if your legs aren't fully straight. We're going to bring the legs out nice and wide. Inhale as they come down to the sides, flexing through the feet, and exhale as we squeeze those heels back towards each other. So point, drop, flex, and squeeze. There's your level one. Level two, hands come behind the head, lifting up through the shoulders away from the mat. Same thing again. Flex and squeeze. We're going to go for four more. Drop, flex, and squeeze. Last three. Point, drop, flex, squeeze. Last two. Point, drop, flex, and squeeze. The head and shoulders are up. Come up a little bit higher. Drop, flex, and squeeze. Nice, well done. Bending through the knees. Bring those head and shoulders down towards the floor. Have a little hug at the knees there, a little roll on that lower back. And then just pop the feet down onto the floor and just let those knees fall out to the side. Nice little frog stretch for you there. Feel that stretch down the inside of the thighs. Done quite a lot of work there tonight. Whew. Gosh, I have to rush through the stretching a bit, sorry. And then just bring those knees back together again. Glute stretch now, so just bring that right foot across the left knee. If that's enough, stay there. If not, imprint the spine. We're going to bring that left leg up into tabletop. Just grab hold of the ankle, the right ankle there. You should feel a nice stretch into that right glute. If you want to deepen that stretch, lift the spine away from the floor. So arch up into the spine. And then before we place that foot back down, make sure we push the spine down first and then bring the foot down. Same on the other side, so put that right foot down. Left foot comes over. Spine's imprinted before we bring that leg up into tabletop. Grab hold of the left ankle just to take the pressure off that right leg. And then if you want to deepen the stretch a little bit, really push up into that spine. And then before we place that foot down, make sure we pop that spine back down onto the mat first and then lower the foot down towards the floor. Well done. We're going to just step the feet to the outsides of the mat, so the legs are nice and wide. Bring the arms out, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale breath in the center. As we exhale, we're going to roll the knees down to one side, roll the head away from the knees. Keep the hips as close to the floor as we can there, so don't rotate. Again, nice deep breaths. And then head and knees come through the center. Over to the other side again, try to draw those knees down towards the floor, get that stretch into the front of the hip as well. And then coming back to center. Well done. Let's take it all the way over onto our fronts. Lean to a nice cobra stretch now. So just bring the feet out wide. Turn those toes underneath, hands underneath the shoulders, shoulders away from the ears. Try to relax the bottom as we push up into the hands. I forgot the word for that. Keep those hips down on the floor and just, like I say, relax the glutes. And then just slowly come halfway back down again before we engage through the core. We're coming up onto the knees. Sit back between the heels. If you want to widen out the knees a little bit there, you can do. And just really focus on bringing the chest down towards the floor, relaxing the forehead down onto the mat. And bringing the tailbone as close to the floor as we can as well. And then we're going to come back up onto all fours. So coming back, shoulders over wrists, hips, knees underneath hips. Pushing the floor away again with the hands. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. Focus on the scoop of the tailbone between the legs to really try to reach that lower back with that stretch. So really turn that tailbone under. And then we're going to drop down through neutral, beyond neutral, gentle squeeze of the shoulder blades. Take the gaze towards the end of the mat. Stick out the bottom. And then back into our cat stretch again. So scooping up, tailbone comes underneath, chin comes towards the chest. And then coming down again. Through neutral, beyond, gentle squeeze. Gaze towards the end of that mat. Stick at the bottom. And then taking it back into neutral spine. So push the floor away with the hands. Turn those toes underneath. Let's take it into a little knee hover first. So everything should feel nice and active. After that workout, we're going to push the weight back. Bring the head between the arms. Keep a nice soft bend into the knee there. Bring the heels down towards the floor. Have a little pedal. Ease those heels down. And then pushing both heels down and back. Let's walk the feet up towards the hands this week. So walk the feet up towards the hands until we're at a point where we can take the hands away from the floor. Return into that flock position again. Relax those head, relax the neck, relax the arms. Take an inhale breath here as we exhale. Draw that tummy button up towards the spine, away from the thighs, and just rolling it nice and slow. Rebuild. Restart. Oh, when you reach the top, some big, big shoulder rolls before we pop those shoulder blades back down into the back pockets of our